How silence can change your life. Remain stoic in stressful situations. The power of silence. Welcome back to Stoic-Wellspring, where ancient wisdom meets the struggles of your modern day. In a noisy world, silence is often mistaken for weakness. But for the Stoics, silence was not escape. It was power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote in Meditations, "The best answer to anger is silence." Silence disciplines the tongue when emotion rages. It shields the mind when chaos strikes. It protects focus when the world demands reaction. In stressful situations, most people shout, argue, or defend themselves, and in doing so, they lose their calm, their focus, their freedom. The Stoic, instead, chooses silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of strength. In this reflection, we will uncover how silence can change your life. Not by hiding, but by teaching you to remain stoic in the moments that test you most. Silence, the discipline that protects the mind. We are taught from childhood to speak up, to defend, to react. But the Stoics practiced the opposite art, the art of restraint. Silence was not their weakness, it was their weapon. Seneca once warned in his letters to Lucilius, "It is better to conquer our grief than to deceive it." He meant, silence is not pretending, it is mastery. To remain silent in stressful moments is to protect your focus from being hijacked by anger, fear, or pride. Silence creates space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to choose the virtuous response instead of the reckless one. The modern world confuses loudness with strength, but the Stoics knew true strength is calm under pressure. In this reflection, we will uncover the practices of Stoic silence, how to use it not as avoidance, but as discipline, not as retreat, but as mastery. Because silence, when practiced with wisdom, can change not only your reactions, but your entire life. Practice 1. Pause before you speak. Most regrets in life are born not from silence, but from words spoken too soon. The Stoics taught the habit of pausing, creating a breath of space before words escape. Epictetus once advised in his discourses, "Be mostly silent, or speak only what is necessary." This pause is not weakness, it is mastery. It turns reaction into reflection. In stressful situations, an insult, a provocation, a heated debate, silence gives you control. Instead of letting the world pull your strings, you choose the timing, the words, the response. Practice it daily. When anger rises, count to 3 breaths before speaking. When urgency pressures you, wait before replying. Each pause is a shield, It blocks regret. It disarms conflict. It preserves your focus. And when the pause becomes habit, the next practice unfolds naturally. Silence, not just before words, but silence within. Mastering your inner dialogue. Practice 2. Silence within. Master your inner dialogue. The greatest noise is not in the streets, it is in the mind. Endless chatter, worry, replaying past arguments, rehearsing future fears. Marcus Aurelius confessed in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Inner silence begins when you notice the voice within and refuse to be ruled by it. Practice it daily. Observe your thoughts as passing impressions, not commands. Let them appear, let them fade, without obeying. Epictetus warned his students, "When a thought arises, do not say, 'It is true.' Say instead, 'You are just an impression.'" By practicing inner silence, you gain space between thought and identity. You are not every voice in your head. You are the one who chooses which voice to follow. Make it a habit. Once a day, sit for 5 minutes in silence. Do not chase thoughts. Do not fight them. Simply let them pass like clouds across the sky. This silence within is the foundation of peace, for when the mind is quiet, no insult can wound you, no chaos can shake you. And once inner silence is learned, the Stoic takes the next step. Practicing silence in conflict, choosing restraint over escalation. Practice 3. Silence in conflict. Restrain. Don't escalate. Arguments often last longer than the insult that began them. Why? Because silence was abandoned. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." To remain silent in conflict is not cowardice. It is refusing to be dragged down to the level of rage. Practice it in daily life. When insulted, pause. When provoked, breathe. When attacked with words, let silence be your first defense. Silence G's kalaches. It denies the opponent the reaction they seek. It ends battles before they grow. Seneca wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "What is more noble than to be superior to injury? To make adversaries ashamed by returning nothing of their injury." Each time you choose silence over retaliation, you preserve your dignity and your focus. And when you have learned silence in conflict, the next practice refines it further. Silence, not just toward others, but toward your own pride. Practice 4. Silence against pride. Resist the urge to prove yourself. Many words are not spoken to convey truth, but to feed pride. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in Meditations, "Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people. It will keep you from doing anything useful. Silence against pride is the art of not taking the bait. When someone doubts you, insults you, or overlooks you, pride pushes you to react, but silence says, "I do not need their validation." Epictetus taught, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." To resist pride with silence is not to devalue yourself, but to value your focus above their opinion. Make it a habit. Once a day, allow yourself to lose an argument, not by agreeing falsely, but by refusing to fight for pride. In doing so, you win something greater: inner freedom. And once pride is silenced, the next practice deepens the lesson. Learning to use silence as a mirror, reflecting instead of reacting. Practice 5. Silence as reflection. Turn quiet into insight. To the untrained person, silence feels awkward, something to be filled with noise, chatter, or distraction. But the Stoics saw silence differently, as an instrument of clarity. Seneca once wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "The mind should be allowed some relaxation. It will rise stronger and keener after resting." Reflection requires quiet. You cannot examine your motives in the middle of noise. You cannot see your errors if you are busy speaking. In silence, you see not only what others did, but what you did. Not only what they said, but how you responded. Practice it. After every stressful encounter, withdraw for 5 minutes. Sit in silence. Replay the scene, but this time as a judge, not as a participant. Ask yourself, did my words serve virtue or vanity? Did my silence preserve peace or conceal fear? By turning silence into reflection, every stressful moment becomes a classroom. This practice deepens resilience because mistakes are not wasted. They are harvested for wisdom. And once silence has become a mirror, the Stoic takes the next step. Using silence as strategy, a deliberate choice to influence without a single word. Practice 6. Silence as strategy. Influence without a word. In heated situations, words are like arrows. Once fired, they cannot return. But silence is like a shield. It absorbs, it waits, and then it redirects. The Stoics practiced silence as a deliberate tactic. They knew that when you do not react immediately, you control the tempo. Seneca once wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "He who does not prevent crimes when he can, encourages them." In silence, he meant not passive tolerance, but strategic choice, knowing when to act and when to withhold. In negotiations, silence unsettles the other side. In arguments, silence denies escalation. In leadership, silence commands attention more than noise. Imagine a meeting where one person dominates with words, The Stoic listens, silent, and speaks last, with clarity and precision. That single voice outweighs all the noise before it. To practice this, set a rule. In any tense exchange, wait until others have finished before speaking. Let silence build weight behind your words. Silence as strategy is not about manipulation. It is about presence, showing that your mind is steady and your voice is not wasted. And when silence has been mastered as strategy, the Stoic reaches the next lesson. Silence before fate, embracing what cannot be changed. Practice 7. Silence before fate. Embrace what cannot be changed. There are moments when words are useless. No speech can bring back the dead, erase the loss, or undo what has already happened. In such times, silence is not resignation. It is reverence. It is acceptance. Epictetus once said in his discourses, "Don't demand things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do." Silence before fate is the highest form of Stoic strength. Not to rage against reality, but to align with it. Practice it. When confronted with something irreversible, a missed opportunity, an unchangeable outcome, resist the urge to complain. Instead, breathe, be silent, and whisper inwardly, "Amor fati," I love my fate. This silence does not make you passive. It makes you free. Free from bitterness, free from illusion, free to act where action is still possible. And when silence before fate is embraced, the Stoic discovers another form of silence. The silence of observation, listening deeply before judgment. Practice 8. Silence in observation. Listen before you judge. How many conflicts grow worse because we speak before we truly see? How many mistakes are made because we judge before we listen? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in Meditations, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." Silence in observation is humility. It admits, "I may not yet see the whole picture." Practice it daily. In every conversation, commit to listening fully before replying. In every disagreement, let the other finish before forming your response. This silence does not weaken your voice, it strengthens it. For when you finally speak, your words are grounded in understanding, not assumption. Imagine a leader in a tense room. All eyes wait. He listens silently, observing faces, weighing facts. When he finally speaks, his words cut through noise with authority. Make it a habit. Once a day, in any setting, choose to observe longer than usual. Resist the urge to fill silence with your own voice. Silence in observation turns life into a classroom. Every person, every moment, becomes a lesson, if only you are quiet enough to notice. And once silence has taught you to observe, the Stoic takes the next step. Solitude, the silence that renews from within. Practice 9. Silence in solitude, the nourishment of being alone. Many people fear being alone, as if solitude is exile, but the Stoics saw solitude as a return, not a punishment, but a practice. Seneca once wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "We are nowhere less alone than when we are alone." In solitude, silence is not empty. It is full of space to think, to reflect, to realign with your values. Without solitude, the mind is always reacting to others. In solitude, the mind learns to act from within. Practice it daily. Choose 15 minutes of digital silence. No phone, no screen, no noise. Just sit, walk, or write in stillness. At first, the silence may feel heavy, restless, even painful, but stay, for beneath the discomfort lies clarity. Marcus Aurelius practiced this solitude each morning, reminding himself of the day ahead, rehearsing not noise but virtue. Silence in solitude is nourishment. It refills the mind like a spring refills a well. Without it, focus runs dry. And when the well is refilled, the Stoic moves to the final practice, using silence as renewal, closing each day with clarity and calm. Practice 10. Silence as renewal. End each day in quiet strength. The Stoics ended their days not with endless chatter, but with reflection in silence. Seneca described in his letters to Lucilius, "When the light has been taken away, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." This silence at night is not emptiness. It is renewal, a cleansing of noise, a sharpening of focus, a restoration of strength. Practice it. Before sleep, sit in silence for 5 minutes. No phone, no screen. Just you, your breath, and your thoughts settling like dust after a storm. In this silence, you can release the day's burdens, forgive its failures, and carry only the lessons into tomorrow. Imagine beginning each morning not weighed down by yesterday, but renewed, sharpened, clear. This is the gift of nightly silence. Silence, then, is not just the absence of words, it is the rhythm of wisdom. Pausing, reflecting, renewing. And when silence closes the day, it prepares the soul for tomorrow. Steady, focused, unshakable. The sacred sound of silence. Pause here. Let the noise of the day fade. Listen, not to words, but to silence itself. Notice how silence is not empty, it is full. Full of space, full of clarity, full of calm. The Stoics knew that silence is not absence. It is presence. The presence of your reason, your virtue, your true self. In this stillness, ask yourself, where in my life have I wasted words? Where could silence have served me better? Do not rush to answer. Let the question settle like dust after the wind has passed, for wisdom is not born from noise. It is born from the silence that allows truth to rise to the surface. The strength of silence. Silence is not emptiness. It is mastery. It is presence. It is freedom. Through 10 practices, pausing before words, mastering inner dialogue, restraining in conflict, silencing pride, reflecting, using silence as strategy, embracing fate, observing, solitude, and renewal, you have seen how silence can transform life. Seneca once reminded in his letters to Lucilius, silence is a lesson learned from many sufferings. To practice silence is not to hide from life, but to meet it with strength unshaken. If this reflection has helped you, share it with someone who battles noise and chaos daily. Let Stoic silence guide them as well. And if you wish to continue strengthening your Stoic mind, subscribe and stay with us. The next reflection will lead you deeper into another timeless practice. For silence is not weakness. It is the voice of wisdom, spoken without words. Be well, be still, be free.